Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode. Totally the first. We've definitely not done an episode 0 or anything. Premiere episode of Roll20 Presents Dungeons and Dragons, Baldur's Gate, Descent into Avernus. Well, I'm tired. That's all I can handle. I'm going to go. Y'all just run your own game.
Yeah, okay.
I think this is the longest title of any campaign we've played so far.
Is Descent into Avernus longer title-wise than Tomb of Annihilation? Like,
that's
Annihilation
but
is
Tomb
a
of Annihilation
word.
Tomb of Annihilation wasn't.
Okay, you're right.
Wasn't
You're
Port
right.
Nyanzaru : Tomb of Annihilation.
No, you're right.
Yeah. What we really need is we need some DLC for Descent into Avernus so that it can be Roll20 Presents Dungeons and Dragons Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus :
whatever.
You're right, exactly. Like Villa of Shadows.
We go to hell a second time.
That's right, back to hell. So this is a brand new campaign. We have all played together lots and lots of times. You might recognize this motley crew minus the empty box from Tomb of Annihilation or Dragon Hoist. We were talking, somebody in chat was talking about how we need to try to hoist Zariel, but I feel like you do not touch Zariel without Zariel's permission. So we'll get there.
Even with her permission, it's probably.
Yeah, I feel exactly. I feel like it's a trap. If Zariel's like, "Hey, come over here, come here, touch me," you're like, "No."
I'm just imagining to like, come here, give me a hug. Hugs you, you burst into flames.
No
and
hugs from
disintegrate.
Zariel. No hugs from Zariel.
She just cast Hellish Rebuke every possible, every round.
Wish I could cast Hellish Rebuke. I wish that was a thing. So we're starting a brand new Dungeons and Dragons campaign. Today is the very first episode. We're going to be rejoined by our Aasimar Paladin, Bryn Oram, in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now. She's in Korea right now, or will be soon. Enjoy your Korea, Random Tuesday. But she will be back. And in the meantime, I have to be very, very gentle with these 3 delicate first level babies.
Do not destroy us. We are all hybrid or spellcaster classes. Do not break.
Overwhelmingly, the feedback that I was getting during my DM prep, which you haven't watched it after this episode, go to the Roll20 app YouTube and watch it. The overwhelming feedback I was getting was, "This is for level 1 characters? ? Exclamation mark. So I'm excited.
Oh, no. Okay.
I'm excited. It
Work
should be
on some sick strats to cheat.
I mean, we just have to wait until I'm level 2 and I could be like a squishy animal instead of a squishy.
Yeah, and then we can get to the part where everybody in chat was saying, "This is for level 2 characters? ? Exclamation mark.
It sounds like they want to kill you before you get to play the game.
Well, someone in chat did mention earlier, and I thought this was a great point, the speedrun strat is to make an evil character die right away. You get to skip all the beginning stuff, and you just start right in hell.
Straight to hell, yeah.
Right straight to hell, right? Make an evil character, jump off a bridge, problem solved, boom. You get to start in Avernus.
Oh shit, the secret ending, or the secret skip.
Secret middle, yeah.
Yeah.
But
They
can
don't
you
expect
gain XP if you're dead?
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're a lemure, I think that's.
I mean, that's how devils and demons work, right? Like you start out low and you get high.
I mean, yeah, that's how some things work.
If my high school experience playing Dungeons and Dragons is any indication, yes, correct.
You start out low and then you get high.
Yep.
My first DM was a massive pothead, and God love him, he was just great. I love that guy. I learned everything I know from Pat Brown. So we're gonna start a new campaign today. I think. What do y'all think? Should we do box text and then character descriptions? Do you want the intro first and then we'll set it in a place?
I like the film intro where either you focus on like a person stepping into a room or you like pan back to all of Baldur's Gate and then zoom in on the people.
Yes,
inside.
that would be my personal style, but I think maybe I'll read you the box text, then we can set the characters. Since we did a character creation session, the only new stuff is going to be any finalized appearance or name stuff. So we can do that after the intro. If you want like little finite granular details, go ahead and watch episode 0 where we made our characters on stream. I mean, don't do that now. Stay where you are. Stay here with us. But when we're done, you can go back and do that.
hang out with us presently and then hang out with us in the past.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Okay, well, yeah, let me get out this beautiful box of text here. Let me unpack this box text and I will read it to you. Let me put on my best dungeon master voice and we will begin our adventure. So, welcome to Baldur's Gate, a veritable nest of rats and vipers clinging to the rocky slopes overlooking the Chionthar River. From their high perches in the upper city, the local nobles, known as patriarchs, gaze down with veiled contempt upon the common rabble in the grimy lower city, which hugs the foggy harbor. The whole of Baldur's Gate reeks of blood, crime, and opportunity. One can easily fathom why pirates and traders are drawn to this place like flies to a carcass. Following the river farther east would eventually lead you to Elturel, capital of the Holy Land of Elturgard. Or, at least, that was the case until a few days ago. The flood of refugees from Elturel has gotten worse since news first arrived that the city has fallen. Everyone is saying Baldur's Gate is next, but no one truly knows who or what has claimed Elturel. The Patriarchs pay a mercenary army called the Flaming Fist to protect their interests in Baldur's Gate and by extension, the city itself. The Flaming Fist has gained even more power since their charismatic leader, Uldur Ravengard, claimed the title of Grand Duke a few years ago. Apparently, Ravengard is missing. In his absence, the Flaming Fist has sealed the city's gates to staunch the flow of refugees. No one is allowed in or out. All of this was brought to your attention shortly after you were drafted by the Flaming Fist to help defend the city. Your orders are to speak to Captain Zodge at the Basilisk Gate, which pierces the city's eastern wall and takes its name from the various statues that rest in its niches and perch atop its battlements. Unseen beyond the sealed Basilisk Gate, a dirt road stretches through the outer city slums to the bridge, known as Worm's Crossing, then to distant realms beyond. Dozens of Flaming Fist soldiers are trying to control an angry mob of commoners eager to leave the city, armed with only a vague description of Captain Zodge, a tall man with long black hair and a leather eye patch. It takes you a while to find him. A fight breaks out between soldiers and commoners, and you finally spot the one-eyed captain as he wades into the fray and begins throwing punches. Just another day in the City of Blood. I did not know that was Baldur's Gate's other name. Cool.
The City of Blood.
Another day. Just another day in the Windy Apple. Yeah, so things are bad in Baldur's Gate. I mean, always. But you've been drafted by the Flaming Fist. Maybe a mutual acquaintance of yours either helped or hooked you into doing this job.
Oh, yes,
and
have they tried
sent
making
to
Edelgard pay for a wall? Is my question.
So you are on your way to, or I think you've just arrived, and you see Captain Zodge, who pretty much rolls up his sleeves and does a all right then and dives into the fray. And you see a bunch of you. I think you arrive as this fight is kind of like calming down. People are being thrown around, arrested, beaten up. And and you see this group of them, of these Flaming Fists kind of dealing with these commoners. And among them is Captain Zodge. So I figure it's Baldur's Gate, so it's probably like kind of like rainy and like sludgy out. I imagine that the streets are muddy. There's down here by the bridge, there'd be like, or by the gate, there'd be like cobblestone streets, but they'd be pretty worn down, I think. And so there's puddles of mud everywhere, and big crowds of commoners, both ironically trying to get in and out of Baldur's Gate. Outside, people of Elturgard trying to get in, people from outside being like, Baldur's Gate's next, I'm out of here. I got relatives in, I don't know, Waterdeep. I'm going to go there. So the scene would be, I guess, the shot of the city fade to the crowd of rain-soaked, kind of miserable people. And then you see this captain who I didn't realize he had an eye patch when I was originally doing my GM prep, and now I just imagine Majima from the Yakuza series. I wasn't thinking about it before, but I definitely am now. So you see Captain Zodge, and he's in there karate chopping people. And then we pan across to see the three of you kind of emerge into the open. Would you like to describe your characters for us so we can get a handle on what you look like?
Who do you think is tallest? Definitely not. So
either Sathra or November Solace, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, I imagine Sathra's like 5'10".
Okay. All right. So I'd say you're tallest. Do we want to be like in a cool row, or it's like person, gnome?
Is it, Dave? Is it the Svirf Neblin that get the like? No, I'm thinking of Durgar, the ones that grow giant. That's dwarves. That's never mind.
Yeah, that's dwarves.
Okay. So you figure Sathra and November are probably about the same height?
I mean, I'm a little shorter, but my horns make me the same height.
Okay. You got horn height.
Yeah,
okay.
I got horn height.
All right, well, then why don't we start with Sathra? What do you, Elf? Tell us what we see. So it's rainy, it's gloomy, and then you get
upon first glance at Sathra, as the camera like pans past the three of them, you see that she is like almost entirely covered in like a brown like overcoat or like cloak, like robe sort of thing. And like her hood is up, and she's got like wraps around her face as well, as if trying to be like very, very concealed. But on the like footsteps forward to see the captain, you can hear the sound of like, clattering on her belt, or like the movement of armor underneath all of this sort of like covered like cloth.
Yeah.
As if it's all like, I'm trying to be inconspicuous, but I'm also definitely armed.
Well, yeah, and you're bulkier than you would be if you were just wearing the cloak over clothes, right? Like wider. Yeah.
Yeah, she's definitely got like some scale mail under there.
Got some World of Warcraft pauldrons on.
Yeah. we're not quite at that level. But she definitely like you can see some of the like glints of like worn steel underneath when she moves.
Okay.
And anything else? Heavy leather boots, like heavy looking, like they've been a long way.
Do we have the like Addams Family like light just on?
I was
your
about
eyes?
to say, yeah. Do we get did you have like snake eyes? Do we see
yes,
that?
She definitely does. They're like yellow and slitted.
Cool. Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
Shot of like the light on the eyes.
Cool. Okay, cool. And then probably, I think November, you're probably the next person that we.
Yeah, so it's a very stark contrast, because where Sathra wants to blend into the background, November can't help but stand out. For one, she kind of looks like a corpse, because her eyes are super, super clouded and opaque, in a way that tiefling eyes are sometimes just one color with no pupil. Hers are white. You can't tell if it's blindness or just how she is unless you ask. She has very, very pale skin, and pale hair that ends in like color, like blue, like light blue, and then horns showing that she's a tiefling coming up out of her hair. She doesn't wear any kind of like head dressing. She is wearing leather armor. It's also painted white and looks extremely decorative. Definitely doesn't look like it's ever seen a fight. She's holding a staff, but also it looks like it's decorative. It has like painted icicles on the top, but it's not real ice or magic of any kind. It's just a cool looking staff. And the air around her is like seems colder than even like the rainy street. If you looked close enough, you might see that like when a raindrop like got near enough to her, it just turned into snow and then landed.
If Sathra stands within 5 feet of you for too long, she gets sleepy.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna go to bed. She's about average height, so a little bit shorter than Sathra, and is probably holding a dog by the like harness and trying to keep him out of whatever fighting and also mud.
Yeah. How big is your dog?
So her dog is like not like a wolf sized. It's like a husky. It is a husky. And he has like a light, like those light bright blue husky eyes. And he's a good boy, so he's probably sitting there and like wagging his little tail on the ground, but not like trying to go after anything or smell any smells. He's a good boy. He's probably like knee height when he's sitting, maybe a little bit like half thigh height, just average size for a husky.
Well, when we're down, the camera is down at husky level. I imagine that's the first time that we see your character, Dave. Oh, and sorry, Dave, before you describe your character, Blue Jay, what is your character's full name? I definitely couldn't fit it on the overlay.
Yeah, the ... is because her full name is November Solace, one with the ephemeral everything. And I don't know if it's the naming structure of her people, but like whenever she has a new or different experience that is really like formative, she adds to it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So we pan down and we see this very eager dog kind of at your side, November. And then next to or nearby, we see our third party member. Dave, you want to describe your character?
Yeah. Tiny little, a gnome, a 3 feet tall gnome. Who, you can't really see very much of because they're mostly comprised of a really big wizard hat. I think probably pointy at one point. It's got the kind of flop on the end by now.
Mm-hmm.
All in relatively dark colors, wearing a robe as well that matches. The hat itself is characterized by it has like a scary face, like sewn into it.
So kind of like the Sorting Hat from Harry Potter, like that kind of like scowly face on the front of it, or is it more like cartoony?
It's a little bit more cartoony because I think they sewed it themselves and I'm not very good at it. But if you look closely, you can see peering out from the eyes, there are actually holes. And if you look in, you might catch some little cat eyes because their familiar sits inside their hat and looks out of the eye holes on the face.
That's perfect.
Yeah, and most of Zariel's like face is covered by the wide, low brim of this oversized hat, and then they have kind of nice robes, which are a bit tatty at the ends because they're too big. So there's lots of like wear on the hems and stuff like that, and then a kind of cheap, dull wooden staff as well. One bit you would see of Soravo's face is glowing silvery eyes that seem to take a bunch of the light.
Cool.
Like, stars.
Nice. Cool. So we're gonna get like official art made of the characters, but for now, I did my best. I scoured the marketplace for tokens, and I found this one for November. And then there's November's tiny doggo, and then this is the only appropriate snake lady I could find. But I think it's pretty good. She's maybe not wearing the correct accoutrement, but I got the scowl is nice. The little angry face is good. And then I thought this was a nice one for, though too big. I need to make it like about that big.
That big, yeah.
But the funny thing is your cat is normal cat size. So there we go. So these tokens are they're from Yuikami. I've used them before in a couple of other games. They're like my favorite kind of stand-in tokens for stuff. There's a whole bunch of them and they're all really cute, and it was great looking through them and finding them. So I found Ice Princess, Snake Lady, and then Tiny Big Hat, and I am very pleased with these. So we'll use these ones. Okay. So we see the group of you kind of like step out, and the crowd has learned their lesson. Basically, they got a little bit upset. They got a little bit like, you got to let us out. You can't keep us here. We're not prisoners of Baldur's Gate. And the Flaming Fist was like, shut your mouth. And they pulled out their batons and they just started fucking batoning people. So yeah, we see Zodge like wiping commoner blood off of his club. And then a couple of the other Flaming Fists are either dragging away unconscious commoners. You see 2 Flaming Fist guys going through somebody's pockets after he's just been clubbed unconscious. And Zodge is just shouting orders like, get them out of here. You back off. And so you see them all kind of like standing around shouting at people.
Well, seems like a nice fella.
I think that's our man.
Oh, well, this is all relatively distasteful, but fine, whatever. This is what we come to expect living in such a lovely place. The rent's cheap.
I don't really see the problem. Like,
yeah, right, when you say that, we pan over and there's just like some unconscious commoner being like dragged away through the mud. Yeah.
Well, then, should you be the one to speak to him? We'll follow where you lead.
Certainly. I step forward towards our friend, the Flaming Fist captain that we've been told to report to.
Okay. Yeah, and I think
his rank. What was his rank again?
He's a captain. He's Captain Zodge. And I think probably we may as well just go and say that Bryn hooked this up for you. So like you, after the failed coup, and Altus slipped away from you. Altus, your betrayal. You were looking for work, and the recent times of chaos, Bryn set this up for you. And I'm not sure we'll leave it up to Lauren when she comes back to tell us where she was, but she basically put you in touch with Zodge and was like, listen, I got these people, they can fight, go and meet with the captain and he'll give you work. And yeah, he's a captain for now, but maybe someday he'll be a general, but for now, just a mere Captain Zodge. So yeah, so you see him, he's got the eye patch, he's like spins his baton around and he turns and he sees you approaching.
Captain Zodge?
The same.
Bryn Oram sent us. You wanted some capable people?
I wanted some capable people, but, well, you got to work with what you got. And he looks at November and then down at the dog and then over at this strange hat that has a person under it. and he says, well, Oram said she knew some unusual people, but, well, you're not quite what I expected.
Baldur's Gate's full of unusual people.
Right, and that's what we're trying to prevent. And he looks over at the gate. You can see it kind of like rattling a little. And even from here, you can hear the sounds of unrest from the other side of these refugees trying to get in.
I feel like there's a moment of like, agreed.
Yeah, right. Like, just, it's fine. So he looks at it for a little while and kind of like, strokes his chin. And he turns back and looks at you grimly, maybe wipes some greasy hair out of his face because it's raining and he's a little sweaty from beating the peasants. He says, this refugee crisis stoked fears that Baldur's Gate might suffer the same fate as El Turel, of which nothing remains but a hole in the ground, apparently. Our Grand Duke, and he says this like quietly, he kind of leans in case there are people around who haven't heard it yet. He says, our Grand Duke, Alder Ravengard, was visiting El Turel on some kind of diplomatic mission when the city was destroyed. Coincidence? Nah, I think not. And he kind of gives you a conspiratorial, like, yeah, there's,
Quite right, my good man. No such thing as a coincidence.
Yeah, and he kind of, for the first time, he looks down at Sosrovo and is like, I like the cut of your jib, talking hat. He turns back to November and Sathra, and he says, the Knights of Eltergard call themselves Hell Riders. Few of them escape the destruction and think we're somehow to blame for Elturel's downfall. What a bunch of self-righteous rabble-rousers. We're arresting them on sight, but, all the arrestings left us short-handed to deal with another problem. That's what
and
I
that
need.
Problem.
And he points like, that's what I need you for. He says, Baldur's Gate's long been plagued by followers of the Dead Three. Vayne, Ball, Merkel. I thought we'd wiped them out, but apparently not. These purveyors of fear and death are taking advantage of the current crisis to commit murder sprees in the city. As my appointed deputies in this matter, you'll have license to eliminate these wretches on sight.
Sounds like a good deal.
Find their lair and wipe it out. Eliminate anybody who gets in your way and, well, don't you worry about collateral damage. If you do what I say, I'll see each and every one of you receives 200 gold pieces. In addition to, well, my gratitude, which I consider to be worth considerably more.
Sathra had already stopped negotiating when he said, you can kill these guys and we don't care.
Sanctioned murder, you might call it.
Mm.
A few blocks away from the gate is a tavern, Elf Song. A spy of mine named Tarina hangs out there, gathering rumors for the guild. She owes me a favor, so tell her you work for me. Ask her what she knows about the dead three, and for the love of Baldur, be nice. Tarina's got dangerous friends.
Well, not that place with the rats in the cell.
Sathra, if you want to make a history check, you probably know a thing or two about taverns in Baldur's Gate.
Sure. 12?
Let's see. So with a 12, the Elf Song Tavern, you'd pretty much know only the like base level stuff. So it's owned by a guy named Alan Aleth. He's the owner and proprietor.
I'm sorry, Alan Tudyk?
Alan Aleth.
Alan
Alan Alda?
Aleth. No, not Alan. Different. Let me just take a quick sidebar here to discuss some expectations for the campaign. Bullshit Forgotten Realms NPC names are A, all over the place, and B, always fair game to make fun of, so it's cool. So it's owned by a fairly he's like an older dude, fairly like uninteresting, just like tavern keeper. But what brings people to the Elf Song Tavern is that randomly, at seemingly like unpredictable intervals, there is singing that fills the tavern with a melancholy song. That's what it's named after. There's like an elvish woman. Apparently it's haunted or cursed or something, but she sings a sad song in Elvish every once in a while. And that's what the tavern is named after. It doesn't seem to have any kind of like deeper connections to the guild or the patriarchs or any of those things. But you recognize it by its name.
All right, cool. The Elf Song. Yes, I'm familiar with it.
Yeah, you're going to need these. And he turns to one of his lieutenants or whatever who has a package that he's opened, and he hands out badges with the sigil of the Flaming Fist on them.
Sweet.
Doesn't really go with my outfit.
It really doesn't. They're like brass and they're red, and yeah, it's not. So let's see.
I knew this would either start with working with a Flaming Fist or getting arrested by the Flaming Fist.
Yeah, you get one or the other. So this is that little sigil, these diamond shaped badges with the Flaming Fist.
Awesome.
So that everyone knows when they look at you just who you serve. So these are your deputy badges. They are handed out to you. And then really before you get a chance to ask any more questions, Zodge turns because there's another fight seems to be breaking out. and he turns and he looks at you and he says, "Get it done." And he turns and goes into the crowd.
I love that we meet him beating people up. Conversation ends, he goes right back to punching guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Flaming Fist. This is how they work.
When you find out something you're really, really good at, it's kind of your responsibility to do that as often as possible.
Do it. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you're really good at boot heel oppression.
Yeah.
You know, make sure you're doing it right.
Yeah.
I think that November takes the badge like as it's handed to her, and she looks at it and like looks at her like very fancy new leather armor that like she like it's all white and blue, and this is like red and orange, and she like goes and pins it on the dog's harness instead.
Okay.
And
the dog just like wags his tail and looks up at you like he doesn't know what's going on, but it's very excited about it.
Now my dog's a cop, everybody.
You know, by the time the night is done, that's going to be covered in blood anyway.
Well, I was really hoping that, I mean, she seems more prepared for wading in. I just stand farther back and maybe, I'm sure they have good launder.
I certainly hope this isn't just a meeting. Sure. I like
Yes, you seem very enthusiastic, so I thought I'd let you handle it.
I am very much. And then I say, I turn like looking at the party, like the Elf Song Tavern. Then
Sure.
All right.
follow me. Like, off we go.
Okay.
Ooh, it's a
All right.
map.
Yeah. So here is the aforementioned city of Baldur's Gate. So the Chianthar River is what the source of this water is, and it leads, if it goes west, it goes out to the Sword Coast and then out into the ocean, east to Elturel and Eltergard. You, my dear friends, are, let's see here. You're over here at the Basilisk Gate.
Mm.
And the Elf Song Tavern is over here.
Oh, okay. Looks like a pretty straight shot.
Yeah.
Academic question for you, Adam.
Yeah.
Is Baldur's Gate larger or smaller than Waterdeep?
It is, I think it's considerably smaller.
I thought so, but I want to just make sure that, like, scale-wise.
Yeah, so Baldur's Gate is, let's see, there's like, of course I can't look it up because there's this video game that's also called Baldur's Gate, and that's all. Maybe you've heard of it.
All right,
let's
well,
see.
that's all I need to know, if it was bigger or smaller. If you
Yeah,
think it's
I'm curious.
smaller,
Now
cool.
I want to look. It is.
I do know the aesthetics are quite different, but
Okay, so it's between 120,000 and 140,000 people as of a census taken, what, like 20 years ago? I think in the 70s.
okay.
Okay, cool.
In the 70s, like the 1370s?
No, the 1470s. It's 1492
It's,
today.
1492. I kept
Yeah.
thinking it was 1420 for some reason, probably because of all the getting high.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So there's 140,000 people, which means it is, let's see, Waterdeep. I imagine that there's probably like a swell in the population right now because of the
refugees.
the refugees that got in. Yeah. Waterdeep is, survey says, 2 million.
Okay, yeah, much smaller. All right.
Yeah, give or take. Okay. Cool. So yeah, much smaller, denser concentration of badness. Okay, so you're heading from the Basilisk Gate through the lower city towards the Elf Song Tavern.
Song Tavern.
Yeah, and is there any preparation that you want to be doing along the way? Any conversation you're having, or do you just sort of like trudge quietly through the muck?
Do we have any idea of what the buildings are in between? Like, are there like shops and things? Are these like people's houses? Like, what are we passing?
Well, so there's essentially like 3 layers of quality living vis-a-vis Baldur's Gate, right? If you live in the upper city, you're rich and things are probably mostly okay. You live in the lower city, there's not a lot of middle class in Baldur's Gate, so you're probably poor. And then if you live in the outer city, you're like super poor. So this is the lower city. It's fine. It's everywhere else in the world would probably call it like bad, but it's fine for Baldur's Gate. I imagine that it's mostly down by the gate. It's mostly like, way houses for travelers who've just arrived in Baldur's Gate after a long time on the road who need to rest. Probably some taverns, some warehouses, for like land, cargo.
Yeah.
But as a result of being in the lower city, like, you know, crime and what have you, there's a fairly common thing when walking through the lower city called, are they asleep or is it a corpse? Where, you know, you peer into an alley and you see someone just like lying there on their face and you're like, maybe they're super drunk or maybe they're a corpse. We don't know. Baldur's Gate has seen some
We
shit.
don't know, and Baldur's Gate doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, and I think that as you walk, you see some graffiti on a wall that says "They live" in huge letters, and then there's 3 skulls, and then a badly drawn like a fist and a knife and some tears, and that's pretty common around the city. Like you've noticed in the lower city, a lot more of that Dead 3 like style like signs that they maybe lurk in this place still.
So we were instructed to go talk to, sorry, what was her name?
Tarina.
Tarina, and that she had some dangerous friends.
Yes, just be nice to her because she's well connected.
And she's staying at a tavern in an area that's known for people that like just got off the road.
No, the Elf Song is a little further in. You can see it's like a ways off. It's a few blocks away. And it's just kind of a middle of the road, like fantasy tavern. Honestly, it probably has like 16 bars of looping background with the occasional like triggering of the singing.
So, Zaj, Captain Zaj, he instructed us to be kind to this woman. Should we bring a gift or?
Oh my God, awesome.
Do you have something in mind?
Well, she's already at a tavern, so I don't think alcohol would be appropriate.
Well, you're welcome to use any gold that you actually own. I am a little bit short. Hence taking on mercenary work for the Flaming Fist.
Ew.
Do you realize that was a pun?
I'm sorry, I'd already forgotten what I said.
Oh. You said short as in funds, but you're also quite short as in height.
Yes.
Sathra is literally following along as if this explanation is incredibly necessary.
That's true. Been a gnome for a very long time. Fairly aware of this facet of my personality.
I just wondered if it was on purpose.
I think perhaps respect is the best gift we can bring. Just be polite.
Sure, that's free.
I mean, I have the tanned hide of it. I don't know if she does. All right.
Perhaps.
Do girls like tanned hides? Is that an appropriate thing to bring to a tavern as a gift? I
mean, I spent a lot of time and effort
guess it
tanning the
depends on
hide.
the lady in question.
Well, if we see something along the way.
I also happen to think that if we have these badges, she's going to answer the questions that we have for her anyway. So.
Well, sure. But I didn't think, I mean, he specified.
I think it was more be nice in the way the Flaming Fist are nice, as in not punching her face.
Right. We have people we're allowed to kill and people we're not allowed.
This one, no. Others that we find, yes.
Sure. Well, that's one way to be nice. Sure. Well, let's just go there then.
Okay. All right. So, so you have permission to kill anybody who is proven to be a member of the Cult of the Dead 3. The Flaming Fist will not blame you for that. The only other people who might get in your way would be the City Watch, and they mostly take care of the upper city. They mostly don't really care about this part of town. So yeah, you make your way to the Elf Song Tavern. So when you get there, I have a little map for you.
Ooh.
The Elf Song.
Oh, it's got a map, huh?
Oh shit, those are thugs. I know thugs.
So the Elf Song Tavern, you arrive. It's a tavern in Baldur's Gate, right? It's leaky and it's drafty. The central room smells of several days worth of reheated stew. Though there is a faint like pipe smoke, like pipe tobacco smell in the air. And this place has a couple of characters at the front desk here as you come in at the front, who immediately grab your attention. The bouncer sitting outside currently in the rain, looking miserable.
Oh, the really big guy. Jesus.
Yeah, she's a half ogre, I think.
Awesome.
And she's just sitting there on a stool, much too small for her, being paid far too little to keep an eye on the door. So when you come in, she doesn't really even look at you. She just kind of like casts a glance over you, and then you walk inside.
I make a point to ask her if dogs are allowed.
Okay, so you stop and you look up at her. So she's sitting there, arms folded. She's sitting on a little stool, like tottering back and forth, trying to get comfortable and like leaning against the wall. And you walk up to her.
I'm so sorry. I haven't been here before, but as you can see, I have an animal. Are they allowed in the tavern, or should I leave them here with you? He's very good.
Dog like looks up, wagging his tail, and
He's just like panting, like.
Yeah. She
Looking like an
says,
idiot.
is this some kind of special dog?
No, it's just a dog. I mean, he's very good, like exceptionally good. I would say that's special.
She leans in and kind of squints at it and looks at you and she says, I let weirder things than this in and out of this place.
Right. So that's yes, he's right.
She just shrugs.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, this place has a 1 drink minimum, so.
The dog. Okay, but does it say what kind of drink?
So she doesn't care. You let the dog in. The other thing that is interesting as you come in is the suit of armor, quote unquote, that is standing by the door as you come in. And at first glance, it looks like it's just decorative. It's a slightly rusty suit of armor standing seemingly on its own accord. Someone has painted in amateurish letters on its chest the word "clank" in big red paint letters, and its helmet turns slightly as you come in, as if watching you enter.
Oh, great. Cool.
Yeah.
I think the dog, when it comes in, immediately goes over to sniff the suit of armor.
Okay.
Just like this thing.
Yeah,
And then
it
I'm
doesn't
just
move.
like,
it just looks down.
oh.
Yeah.
It does? It looks...
Yeah, like it looks down when the dog runs over. This thing's clearly animated in some fashion. So you come in and you can see back at the bar. You recognize him, Sathra. It's Alan, the owner. And Alan is either wiping the bar or like cleaning a glass. He switches back and forth between those two activities kind of idly. The room is pretty full. There's mostly human clientele. It's quiet and dark in here. There's no musician. This isn't the Yawning Portal. There is a subdued and kind of like dingy atmosphere. And everybody around here is either drinking or smoking a pipe or both. And a couple of the tables, the silence is broken by the rattling sound of dice in a wooden cup and then the smack of the cup on the table. And it is clear to you that these people at this table are playing a very popular game here in Baldur's Gate called Baldur's Bones, I think it's called. Yeah, that's right. So Descent into Avernus came with its own mini game. So if you like Gwent or Triple Triad,
baby.
yeah, if you like that Triple Triad, they are playing a very popular game in the Taverns of Waterdeep, which I think probably all of you, except maybe November, you wouldn't know it. But let me see if I can find the rules for you. Let's see, because you can definitely.
But I don't have any money. Literally zero money.
Yeah. Here we go. Taverns in Baldur's Gate.
Did we get a physical description of this person we're looking for?
No, you did not.
Whoops.
You just know her name is...
I know the owner. I'm just going to ask about Tarina.
Tarina, yeah.
Tarina.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, here's the rules for Baldur's Bones. Cool.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So it's a game. I'm sure you've played it before, Sathra. So yeah, you come in and I think probably like the people closest to the door give you a like glare, like don't let the breeze in, right? But for the most part, it's just look up, acknowledge that there are new people in the bar, and then just like look back down and don't worry about it.
It's blackjack.
It's blackjack with dice, yeah.
Should we take a table or?
Why don't you sit down and I will speak with the owner about who we're looking for.
I like turn to the suit of armor and I'm just like, can we take any table or do we have to wait to be seated?
Ever been to a tavern?
I look over my shoulder as I'm like walking over towards the bar and I go, any table, November.
I mean, I haven't spent much time at tavern.
So you said this person behind the bars are...
Yeah.
Let the others move their tokens to where they want to be before I...
And so Sorova, this place, like, everything is too big for you. The tables are above your head. The chairs are all at eye level. You're staring at a lot of people's legs.
You get used to it. You live a couple of 100 years when things aren't made for you. There's just a lot of like actually reaching up and climbing up into a stool. Undignified.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I encourage the dog to like sit under the table, kind of, so he's not in the way of anyone else going around.
Okay. Here, I can give you control.
Yeah, I didn't have control over the pup.
Okay. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I can move my good boy.
Okay. All right. So you, the two of you, get a table. The dog sits down. A good dog sits down by your feet.
Starts eating some leftovers that somebody didn't clean up.
Yeah. Maybe eyeballs a rat. And Sathra, you walk up to the table. Okay.
Alan, is it?
And he looks up, and Alan is like I said, he's an older dude. He's a half elf, so he's probably a lot older than he looks, and he looks pretty old. He's got gray hair and
looks like 60, but he's like 140.
Yeah, right. And he's got wrinkles around his eyes, and like he moves a little slower than he maybe used to. And when you come up, he kind of gives you a squint, and he says, "Yeah, I'm Alan."
I feel like when Sathra talks, she makes very direct eye contact.
Yeah, right, like withering eye contact.
Yeah, like absolutely penetrating eye contact.
And like you look away in the hopes that she'll look away too, and then you look back and she's still
looking at you.
She's fucking giving it to you.
Just, like, not embarrassed by the idea of that. Like,
right.
I'm looking for a patron of your establishment. Tarina, the Flaming Fist sent us.
So when you say, do you show him the badge? All right. So his whole attitude changes, and he says, Tarina, I think she's upstairs. Listen, I didn't expect y'all for another few days. I'm still a bit short.
And I lean in. I go, I'll take what you have now.
And he nods and he's like, all right. And he crouches down, and we see from his perspective over his shoulder, he crouches down, and under his bar, there's like a little hook under the bar with like a maul like hanging on it. And he reaches under past that, and he pulls a bag down from like a hidden spot, and he stands up and he puts it on the counter, and it like clatter. It's clearly like a pretty fat bag of gold. I think, I'll let you count it when you get a chance. So he puts it on the counter, and he slides it ahead, and he says, that should cover both of my businesses. The tavern's a bit light. I'll get you back next week.
Of course. We appreciate your cooperation. Like,
yoink. Nice. Good stuff. Okay. So Alan has said that Tarina is upstairs. But as you turn around, everyone in the bar hears a faint sound of like wind, kind of like whistling through trees or something. And a few people smile and nod at each other knowingly. Alan barely registers, but then the voice that begins to emerge seemingly from nowhere seems to startle Alan. There's something about this that isn't quite right. Does anyone in the party speak Elvish?
Nope.
Somebody speaks Elf?
Oh, okay. Wait. Do I have another?
Yep. I totally do.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Okay. All right. So it's beautiful. The song is beautiful and sad. It's clear that it's in Elvish. Everybody needs to make a steel test or be ensorcellated. You don't actually. No, you're fine. So you hear Elven singing, and Sosorovo, you're the only one that understands the lyrics. How is your memory, Sosorovo? Would you be able to just like remember a short song if you heard it once?
Yes. Yeah, the plan is to become keen-minded.
Yeah. Well, and you're a wizard, right? Half of a wizard's job is memorization. So
sure is.
All right. So you should be able to see the lyrics to this Elvish song. And it takes a moment. There's several verses. I think Sathra and November, you, despite it being in Elvish, you pick out the word Elturel a few times. And so you hear this song, and when it completes, everyone in the tavern is kind of looking at each other like, some people are nodding, but Alan looks like pale and sort of confused. And you notice this, Sathra, because you're still standing near him when the song begins to sing.
She doesn't normally sing about current events, does she?
I don't know.
And like over by the counter, I'm like, something the matter?
I just I never heard the song was different.
Do you think that they come to our table, or do we have to go up to the bar to get anything to drink?
I'm hoping she'll bring some back for us, yes.
I'm like, oh, the song's different? I don't care. And then like,
Yeah, right. You're just like, I don't understand it.
dig
Elf,
through the,
whatever.
like, the pouch of money that he just gave me, put like one coin
Mm-hmm.
back on the table, like slide it back across the bar, like drinks for me and my friends.
Right. Yeah. And he gets some mugs and pours three mugs of ale and sets them on the counter.
Just like grab the handles with one hand, and
I definitely, like,
Turn
when the
back towards
song
the
was
table.
was playing, was like looking around to see where it was coming from.
Yeah. Nowhere and everywhere at once. Both filling the room with its melancholy beauty, but also whispered intimately into your ear. And you feel, well, I'm not going to tell you how you feel, but in most people, the song elicits a moment of sadness, of melancholy. God knows, like, if I'm looking for a cool bar to hang out in, I want to go to the one where every once in a while, randomly someone sings and makes you feel bad.
I mean, sad is not necessarily bad. I've watched some movies that have made me sad, and it's been like a enjoyable experience.
Welcome to the Elvish Bummer.
Sathra has no concept of sad.
Yeah. It just is a song. Okay, so Sathra returns to the table. The other peasants that are in here, the other people, they kind of whisper to each other like a little bit like, oh, that was odd. The ones that do notice it, others kind of like smile and are like, yeah, it's the elf song. I've never been here before. I came here to listen to that. Yeah, that's what you hear. And
That song was so touching, and I didn't even know what she was saying.
Well,
Yeah.
I did.
Drinks.
Thank you.
Sorry, what was it?
It's certainly out of the ordinary. I've not been here often, but I mean, it was about the thing that happened.
Elturel
Elturel?
sinking into hell.
Yeah, the place that everyone's coming from. You remember? You're paying attention to everything that's happening in the city.
Yes, I've seen it, or something like it.
Yeah, weird that she'd sing about that. Just
Yeah.
saying.
now a couple of the things in the song might have triggered something for you. Can you make a history check, please?
Sorry, was it clear that
Sorovo?
Elturel had sunk into the ground?
Nobody knows. There's lots of rumors. Some people say that Mistra blasted Elturel off the face of the earth.
Okay.
In a peak of magical fit. Others say that someone was born in Elturel that was so beautiful that soon had to ascend the whole place into heaven to be with her. Like, there's
Okay, so
there's
the
lots
idea
of
is
different.
just that it's gone.
Yeah, but
Theoretically?
the biggest rumor, the one that most people have heard, is that it's gone. That
Okay.
it disappeared and there is a crater in its place. But yeah, so Sorovo, can you make a history check for me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was getting it confused with what you said before.
Yeah, that's
That's a 14.
a 14. Okay. So there are bits and pieces of it that like remind you of things, right? Like, I think you know who the Hell Riders are because you remember Zodge mentioning it, right? So there's that.
I know a lot about the things that are happening right now because of my feature.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so the alternative background for Sage here is rumor monger. Which
Yeah.
Surmise a great deal about Baldurian secrets. Who's practicing blah 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 blah. Whenever a noteworthy crime or mysterious happening occurs in the city, immediately have a list of suspects. I don't need right now, but I assume this extends out at least to like why are there coming here?
Yeah, so it's not going to give you specific information about like Elturel, but yeah, you've heard all the rumors and you know which ones are the most or least like likely. And it seems to you what you've heard, all of the silly ones that couldn't possibly be true, but then the general like Elturel hasn't just like fallen to an army, right? It wasn't like monsters swarmed out of the woods and attacked Elturel. It's just gone.
Yeah, and I mean, why would the Elf Song be about?
Yeah,
give credence to a specific rumor.
Yeah, and I mean, she didn't mention what happened to Elturel. This sounds like a song written a long time ago, right? It isn't like Elturel's gone now, here's what happened. It's like a historical account about Elturel, but it doesn't make any sense because yeah, she normally sings about how sad she is.
Yep. Wow, that's definitely going down in the. Oh no, wait, that's my spell, but that's the other one.
So our contact is upstairs.
Great. Yeah, let me just.
Should we go upstairs then? Should we bring? And she looks down at the like thing of alcohol that she doesn't even know what kind of alcohol it is, that she hasn't drank any of it yet.
Some sort of ale.
Should we bring? Maybe that's a nice gift.
Are you not going to drink yours?
She like bends over and like sniffs it, and it's like, no.
It's all right. Then.
It's like it'd be bad. It'd be like 4%, and it would be really watery and kind of like bitter smelling. It's not good beer. No.
All right, then you can offer that up to her. Let's go and find her and be done with this.
Okay. So Sathra, you're just gonna hold on to the bag of money Alan gave you.
Yes.
Okay. All right. There is 25 gold in that bag.
Sweet.
Oh
my God, Alan is gonna be in so much trouble next week.
I hope I never have to come back here.
Flaming fist, but
yeah, good.
I hope I never have to come back here.
All right, anyway, so you head upstairs. Head
for the stairs.
Yeah, so let me gather you up, and I'll put you upstairs because I don't think you can go there.
It's really messing with me because the layout of the Elf Song Tavern in my head is the one from Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, and it's not the same, and it's upsetting me. Like, where's the beholder above the thing?
All right. So you head upstairs, and upstairs you can see there's a set of long tables, and there are a bunch of people in the room.
They're not just commoners; they have art.
They have art. Yeah. So over here, let me get my inhabitants of the Elf Song Tavern. So you see. Let's see. There's a list. Okay, so you see a halfling sitting over here, and she is wearing a colorful, like quilted cape, and she's currently sitting up on like a little kid. She's sitting up on the bench. Her legs are kind of hanging, and she's like kicking them to the tune of a song in her head, and she's holding on to a big mug of ale, and occasionally will like tip back and drink from it. It's like as big as her torso, right? She's got like this big old like mug of ale. It's an orc-sized mug. So you see that. There is there's a woman sitting over on this table here, and I think it's a bench. Yeah, so she's sitting on this bench, and she looks like she's calculating something in her head. Right? She's like, you can see her moving her fingers and like making a face. She's human as well.
Is she wearing some kind of like veil in the art?
I don't know. Let me look. No, this is just standard art for I think the acolyte, maybe.
Oh, okay.
And she, you notice too, and Sosarova, you would see this. She has an eye like tattooed on her cheek. And if you want to make a religion check, I can tell you what that is.
I would love to.
Aha!
Ooh.
Oh.
An 11. Okay, you recognize it as the sigil of some kind of deity, but no way to know what it is. So you see her. Let's see who's at the table down here. There is a half orc who, when you come around the corner, he's like in mid belly laugh. He's just like and he like slams the table, and the dice and the coins that are on the table all jump. It's clear he's just won a game of whatever it is they're playing. So he's laughing. And then his opponents are a drunk man with no eyebrows. So he's just like bald with no eyebrows. He's wearing like a sailor's garb, and he's just like trying. You can see he's drunk enough that he's having a hard time realizing that he's lost. And then across from him, there is a woman who, despite the token, is not a dwarven man. She is a salty looking badass lady. She has a saber on her belt. She's wearing again like sailor's garb. She has leather armor on. And she has half of her head shaved, and then the rest of her hair is like quite long and
I'm in love with her.
Going a bit gray. And she has a big scar. She has a big scar from like just above her eye, like all the way across the back of her head. Like somebody got her with a sword as she pulled away. So it's a big jagged scar. And she is looking very angry right now at the half orc. Basically, she gets up and she's like, Umberly, take you, Wall. I'm sick of this stupid game. And she turns around and sees the group of you.
I'm very carefully holding a mug like out in front of me. It's very full, and I'm just like trying not to spill it as I walked up the stairs.
Excellent. Okay, and are you holding it kind of like out in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay, so she walks over, she takes a couple steps over, and she takes it from you. And she says, "Took you long enough." And then she looks you up and down, and she's like,
Sorry?
Hang on. Alan doesn't have any waitresses.
Not a waitress, no.
Who in the nine hells are you? And she's like drinking this. She's just drinking your beer.
We're looking for Tarina. Would that be you?
She puts her hands out. She nods and she says, "Aye, you found me, and well met."
Then the ale was for you.
Yes. It's a gift.
She finishes it while you're talking, and then burps loudly and says, "Well, good, because you're not getting it back for at least a half an hour." And she hands you the empty cup, November.
I take it. That's fine. I am November Solace, one with the ephemeral everything.
I'm sorry, whom?
You can call me November.
What kind of a name is November anyway?
I mean, what kind of a name is Tarina?
It's my name. Or
November is mine.
One of them, at least. And she sees, are you all wearing the flaming fist like badges? Or
I definitely have mine on.
Mine's on my dog.
That's right, Cop Dog has it. So Sorova, are you wearing yours?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So so she looks at you, Sathra, and points at the badge, and she says, "It's a bold move, wearing that out in the open, just wandering around a tavern like this."
I prefer bold. Now, we're actually here to ask you some questions about what you might know about the local cults.
She raises an eyebrow. "I know a thing or two. Why don't one of you go and fetch me another drink, and I'll tell the other two of you what's what."
November is like, "Oh, okay," and like just turns around and goes to go downstairs. Like, sure.
Oh, November.
Tarina, you see, so Sorova and Sethra, you see Tarina you see it, you can watch her in her head. She thinks about swatting November on the butt as she leaves. And then she looks at the dog, and the dog with the little badge just goes like, "Arr," and then she's like, okay, all right, fine. Okay, I won't.
It's the goodest dog.
And then it follows you. November follows you downstairs. Okay, so you go downstairs. And meanwhile, upstairs, Tarina walks back over to the table, and when you see her get there, she looks at the other two, and she says, Knightley, Fane, we're done. Game's over. Fuck off. And they look at each other and look at her, and she's like, you heard me, get out of here. And they get up awkwardly, like, fine. And the half orc says, like, oh, you're just sore because I keep winning. And then they go over to this other table, and they're like, Lala, Lorik, come on, play with us. And so they go over, and then the woman who is counting, she gets up and she's like, I've figured it out. Here's my ante. And she like pulls out a silver coin, and you see them all kind of like get set up to play another round. And then Tarina gestures to the table. It's like, have a seat.
Already sitting.
Yeah. So you just like pull a seat. So Sprovo, do you stand on your seat to like be able to see the table?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And like even sitting, it's probably still you just see the hat brim instead of face. So.
Okay. Cool.
It's fine.
All right. November, do you have any money?
Yeah, my class came with some money, some gold. I think a pouch of 10 gold.
Okay.
I didn't spend on anything.
So what do you and your dog come downstairs? What do you do?
I feel like she looks around and then goes to the bar, which is where the alcohol came from last time.
Okay. All right.
And she says she like tries to catch the bar person's attention.
Okay. Yeah, Alan. So Alan is doing the same thing that he was doing before, but he has like kind of a haunted look on his face. So now he's wiping the mugs hauntedly. Your dog jumps up on the stool and like puts its paws on the counter.
Yeah, good dog.
And Alan kind of like blinks and looks over, and he's like, sorry.
Is something wrong?
Just song is different.
It's not usually the one that we heard tonight then.
No, she's singing about Elturel.
I don't understand Elvish.
And he looks you up and down. He says, no, I suppose you mightn't.
What is she saying?
Well, see, that's the thing. Normally she sings about her lost love. Now sometimes the verses are different, but it's always a sad song about loss, romance, and what have you.
Is the singer in another room? Is it some type of magic or?
He leans in. He says, that's the mystery of it all, isn't it? Some folks say it's a ghost, but I ain't never seen a ghost around here. And well, others say the place is cursed, built on an ancient elven burial ground, but I had no evidence for that neither. So, but it's always the same. And then tonight, just when you and your friends came in, started singing about Elturel, Hell Riders. I don't know anything about that, but it seems an ill omen to me. I don't like change.
And you've never spoken to this person, the songstress?
I ain't no speaking to her. She sings, and then she stops. Everyone gets sad for a minute, and then they drink to forget feeling sad. It works out great.
Right. I did come down here for some drinks. Do you have anything that's not as... anything different than the stuff before?
Oh, the ale's not to your liking.
No.
Well, you're in luck, because in addition to ale, I've also got ale, then ale. And if you don't want that, well, I guess you could leave.
I'll take the ale.
Good choice for milady. One second. And he gets a mug, and he looks at you, he's like, how much? Another 3?
She thinks about it for a second and then like tries to remember. Did you two both finish yours before?
I would have, yeah.
Then she nods. Yes, 3.
Okay. All right. And yeah, let me just make it very clear that this is like warm, like
Gross.
PBR. Like it's
Yeah.
not. Yeah, it's the cheapest shit he could get because running the Elf Song Tavern.
Again, is it 2? It's 2 silver or like 1 silver for a drink? Is
No,
it 10
it's coppers.
coppers?
Yeah,
How many?
this joint's like 2 copper a piece.
How many copper are in a gold?
A
100.
lot.
100. So
Yeah.
I'll take 1 gold away and give myself 96.
So you pay him with a gold piece.
That's all I have. I mean,
So he
I
takes it.
assume
And he takes it. And he looks at you. He's like, I can't break this. Oh, hang on. And he like bites it. And he's like, all right. And like
I
goes
haven't-
down under the thing. And he, yep.
I haven't purchased anything anywhere else yet.
Alan just told you he doesn't like change. And then you give him a gold piece.
I'm so sorry.
And so he comes back from his little lock box under the counter, and he puts some silver on the counter, and he pushes the coins to you, and he says, you and friends better be careful flashing all that money around. And he like looks and he says, because Clank and Skuna, they're here to look after me and my staff. If you get robbed, that's your fault.
Clank's the one. Is that some kind of construct?
No, it's my friend. He's from Eberron. People make that mistake very commonly. So he says, well, old Clank there? Clank's a gift from, let's say, a patron who couldn't pay his bills. Serves me now. Keeps an eye on things.
So you can just pay for his services.
You don't have to. He points. It's a living suit armor. It obeys my every command. It's a magical artifact. You don't gotta pay a magical artifact.
Oh, but you paid to obtain the magical artifact.
Well, I
Or
obtained the
it was
magical
given to
artifact
you
in an
in
exchange of default. And kind of looks you up and down. He's like, don't they have banks where you're from?
No.
Well, you're lucky.
Okay. Sorry about the sad elf woman changing her song. I'm sure it'll change back. We didn't do it on purpose.
He shrugs.
I should get back before this gets warmer.
Not a lot of chance of that happening. And actually, I think we look down and you're holding the mugs, which I guess would be like copper or something.
Yeah,
and
they're getting frosty.
There's frost. Yeah, there's like frost on the mugs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So meanwhile, upstairs, you've sat down with Tarina, and she looks at the two of you, and she says, you play? She gestures the pile of dice on the table.
Of course.
She looks at it and she shakes her head and she says, of all the things I hate about Baldur's Gate, I think this damn game's the worst of them. I never had a gambling problem before. And she squints at the other table and there's more like shouting and cheering and she's just like, I can't think of a worse sound than having to listen to other people's fun. Where's that drink? Like looks over her shoulder.
Really? That's the worst sound you can think of?
Muttering to herself.
We're not here about Baldur's Bones. We're here to know what you know about the local cults.
Ah, Dead 3, huh? Yeah, I know a thing or two. I'm pretty well connected. I've been hearing things in the guild. But question for you, and by extension, I guess, your friend, the captain, is how much is my information worth to you?
It's worth enough that I'm going to bother to be polite. Please let us know what it is you know.
Where's that accent from? You, some kind of northerner?
Chalt.
You're shitting me.
No.
kind of like gives you a closer look now, like she's noticing maybe you're not human. And she says, "For real?
Very much.
What's it like there?"
A lot of jungle. Very hot. Less murder, actually, than here, strangely.
Well, that ain't hard to do. It's Baldur's Gate, honey.
Ooh, don't call her honey. Ooh, ooh, oh boy.
Just rolls off her pretty much.
Yeah, and she says, "So why'd you leave the jungle? What's so special about Baldur's Gate?"
Well, the jungle doesn't have as many opportunities as Baldur's Gate. It's very boring.
Yeah, well, that's one thing this place ain't.
I don't know. This conversation's not going anywhere fast. Look, get on with this.
I love that the two of them are having this like edgelord conversation about Baldur's Gate. Like, I see opportunity in murder. Good, well, there's plenty of opportunity in town.
Well, they're
right,
like
then.
overly taking, so I'm like, oh, they're a sea bitch worshiper. It's fine. We'll get along. It's fine.
But it's perfect because then Sosorovo's like, she's like, there's never a dull day in Baldur's Gate, and Sosorovo's like, how about today? Today's boring. You're boring me.
Yeah.
So I think that's when you come back upstairs. November.
Yeah, me not a thug.
Yeah. So it's when you and the dog comes running back upstairs, and I think you notice maybe as you're coming to the table, the dog runs over to the halfling that's sitting on the bench, and like immediately your dog just jumps up on her, and she starts laughing, and she's like obviously super drunk, and she's kind of doing that thing where she's like the dog's licking her, and she's putting her hands up like, no, stop, but she's laughing.
Oh no. So sorry. And like I got like 3 different ales in my hands, and I'm like trying to like, hey, I'll just put this here, and then
I take mine, I hand mine out of her grasp and bring her.
that is very awkward, and I almost spill the other ones. But I don't. Maybe. Do I? What would that be?
You can make a dexterity save if you want to not drop the other 2 beers. Hey, 16.
I get a 16. I don't drop the other beers. Most important dex save of all time.
Okay, so you like kind of stumble them up to the counter or up to the table and put them down, and people take them. The woman in the cape, by the time you go over there, you turn around and your dog is up on its hind legs, like standing, and she's holding her hand up. And she does this, like makes a little turning around gesture, and the dog like turns around.
He's such a good boy.
And she leans in and she like whispers something. And there's a moment where like you can tell that this person just said something that the dog like actually understood, not just like the tone. And then this very chubby faced, quite soused halfling looks up at you, and she says,
I hope he wasn't bothering you.
"Yeah, no, I like the boy." She like gives him a like rub on the head, and she says,
"Can you speak with animals? I saw an exchange."
She nods. "Aye, I can, time to time."
What did you tell him?
"Well, that's our little secret, isn't it, pup?" And she looks over, and the dog just like barks and like wags his tail.
Well, I suppose I. Just a bit jealous. I've been trying to learn that, but not quite there yet.
And she nods slowly, and she says, "It's a talent that comes and goes."
Comes more when you're drinking or less?
And she shrugs. Kind of like you can see her trying to like focus on you as like the two of you move around a little.
Right.
And then, Tarina drinks the beer that November brought her, and she turns back to Sathra and Sosorovo, and she says, "Well, Zaj sent you, which means I can make use of you. Listen, here's the thing. I've got money. I don't need money in exchange for this information. I'm happy to tell you, but I'm gonna need you to do me a little favor first.
That depends.
You don't even have to leave the bar to do this favor. In fact, I'm glad you arrived when you did. So yeah. I have some former friends of mine who don't agree with some of the life choices that I've made. And I had thought that I put these friends of mine behind me, that I wasn't going to have to deal with that part of my life anymore. And as she talks, you notice, I think Sosorovo, you notice she's like got her hand on the handle of her saber or whatever on her belt.
Who's she looking at?
She's looking around nervously. You can make an insight check if you want to try to get a read on her.
Not super great at, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'll see how it goes. Not bad. Got 14. She's nervous. She's covering it, but she keeps looking back at the stairs and like kind of side-eyeing the people at the other table. Like there's vague paranoia vibes coming from this lady.
All right, so former friends.
Right. Shipmates, really. We had what you might call a mutiny. Didn't go so good.
So you want former friends to be ex-friends.
And she nods and she says, there's a part of a pirate crew looking for me, and word is they're on their way here now. So what a great time to have new friends, huh? She like looks around at all of you grinning.
I'm still just like petting the dog and like talking to the halfling.
Mm-hmm.
We deal with this. You tell us what we want to know. Yes?
And she nods and she says, you make my former friends former people, and we'll talk. You can have all the information I have.
I take my little magic staff and
Yeah.
just kind of give it a little and there's kind of a and I just mage armor up. Just
Nice. So how does your
How long
mage
does mage armor last?
An hour.
hour?
8 hours.
Oh, hot damn. And it's not concentration or
I don't think it is.
Mage armor, you're so cool. Okay. So what does that look like? Is it like pieces of magical armor that form out of thin air, or like what's your style of spell casting when you do this?
So sort of those mage armor actually is underneath all of their clothes. So the only thing that you would notice if you could see their face under the hat, the like normally kind of gray skin kind of darkens a little bit, and there's just kind of like and it would be on their hands as well. There's just like a shade down, like a kind of dark veil goes over all of their skin underneath the clothes.
Nice, cool. So it'd be the kind of thing you would need to like be keeping a close eye on, and then maybe make like an Arcana check to recognize like what the spell was. But it's clear because there's verbal and somatic components that you've just cast something, and I think Tarina sees what you're doing right there. You're like, I'm gonna get ready if there's gonna be a fight, and she just grins and nods like, yes, good. These guys will help me deal with my problems. And so she smiles and she looks at you, Sathra, and she says, well, it wouldn't be an evening in Baldur's Gate without a little bit of violence, huh? She gestures. Make whatever preparations you need to make. I imagine they'll be here presently. And I think we cut to the outside of the Elf Song Tavern, and yeah, we do indeed see approaching down the street. We see a group of ne'er-do-wells and mercenary types as they approach. So we'll take our short break here, and when we get back, pirate friends, I guess. So polish your doubloons and buckle your swashes. There's gonna be some murder when we return. Don't go anywhere.